a community, not just a set of training programs that are very valuable, but we want also a space to experiment. So the question is, what can we do better or different? Or
would you like me to answer?
If you have any ideas on this.
Yes. Okay, so what can you do different? Well, it depends on where you are in your organization, of course. Do you have your own company? Are you an employee in a large organization? And then it also depends on what role do you have in your organization today. What can you do? And what is the purpose of doing something? That also, of course, plays a role here. What are your goals, your personal goals, your organization's goals, and where do you want to take yourself and your company? So if you want to engage with Agile people, there are many different ways of doing that. And I know that Christina and Alisa is very active in Romania, building Agile people there. But we also have a larger community in Agile people that is a worldwide community with people from many different countries. And here you can engage, of course, in many different ways. But I would not like to tell your Romanian community of how to engage with you, Christina. This is up to you to decide a little bit. In your organizations, you can, of course, start being the change that you want to see yourselves. And you can try with some experiments, you can try new things. If you have been through the training that Christina is leading in Romania, then I would recommend that you try one or several of the different tools or models or mindset practices that she's sharing in that training. And if you didn't go through the training, I think that's a great start, because obviously you are already aware. And in Agile people, we say that awareness is the first step. So we believe in awareness. First, you need to understand why we need to change, what is happening in the world with COVID, with the war, with everything. And why is it necessary that organizations work in a new and different way? And that doesn't just include HR, but also all leaders. And we are today working on finalizing an Agile for Finance training together with IC Agile. So ICP FIN will be the certification. And this is where we work with removing budgets and replace fixed budgets with forecasts and different ways of working with the finance function as well. So everybody needs to change in the organization system. So depending on your role, you have a span of control, but everybody can affect something where you are by starting to do new things in a different way. Awareness is the first step. The second step is training to understand how then should I change. Awareness is about the why. The training is about the how. And then it's coaching. So you need also to make sure that you don't fall back into your own old habits and patterns and behaviors, so that you stay on track and you do the thing continuously, improve, experimenting, working with trial and error, trusting people, following the Agile people principles. So there are many different things. You start using a Kanban board for HR, or you make a backlog together with your leadership team, or you start to visualize things together in the team, or you start to use Scrum in your HR team, which is a project method or project model. But I think creating awareness that you obviously already have because you're here is the first step, and training is the second step, because then you will get a toolbox and a selection of different principles to increase and different values to increase in your organization, because ultimately this is about a culture change. It's about shifting the culture and helping people to understand that they need to work in a totally different mindset. And this takes a lot of time, right, Christina? It doesn't go overnight to do this shift. It takes a lot of time to do it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for putting the things in the right order, because sometimes we usually jump to practice and we risk not to understand why we are doing what we are doing. And of course, it will have zero impact or worse impact into the organization if we are just implementing the practices without understanding the mindset behind them.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. What we like very much in our programs when also when reading your book, your articles, is the concept of Agile people coach. It's something that we need to understand better. I'm personally an ambassador of the Agile people coach role for Agile people, for like the new role for Agile that can be implemented.
Yes.
Hopefully. Yes, and let us know more from your perspective. What should an Agile people coach do? Why did you create it or thought about this role?
Because the role for HR and managers, it needs to change. And what we have seen is that you move towards becoming more of a coach, a servant leader, or a supporting leader, instead of telling people what to do and controlling people. And this is a very big shift. Maybe I can share some slides with you.
Please.
Can I do that? Okay.
Yeah.
So let's see, share screen, and I will share this presentation with you. Okay, so let's see, I'm going to try to share this presentation as well. Okay, so this is a new role that we, regardless really of the size or the industry of the organization, this is the role that we believe that HR and managers need to take in the future of work. I'm not going to talk about the history or why this is the case. This one is quite important. Douglas McGregor, how do we view people in our organizations? We can view people in different ways. And Douglas McGregor, he was a very influential guy in the end of the 1950s, beginning of the 1960s. And he wrote this book. It's called The Agile, the Human Side of the Enterprise. And in his book, he writes about human view X and human view Y. And if we believe that other people are X people, we believe that they are lazy, they are unmotivated, they don't want to take responsibility. But if we see them as Y people, we believe that people want to be the best they can be and contribute to create value for other people. And they will also do that if they get the right conditions in the organization system. So it's all about what are the conditions that we create, what is the environment that we give to people, and then we can see behavior shift depending on how we treat people, if we trust them, if we don't trust them, if we give them very detailed processes and structures to follow, or if we trust that they know best where they are in the organization of how to work. Because how we view people affects how we structure our management processes and our governance structures as well in organizations. And if we look at the future of work, artificial intelligence, robotics will create a lot of more work, not less work, actually. So there won't be a shortage of jobs in the future of work. But if we don't take the right steps now, there will be a shortage of the talent or the skills to fill those jobs. Also, other trends are that the majority of the workforce will be freelancing by 2027. And that, of course, as we have already seen, remote work becomes the norm. So nowadays, people are working from home, we are working from anywhere. We don't have to sit in an office to do meaningful work, and it can free up time for people and so on. So the assumption here is that the organization is a social system consisting of teams and people and relationships between those persons and those teams. So in the past, we have been treating organizations like machines and people like cogs in a machinery. But in the future, we believe that people are not like cogs in a machinery. You can't really just take out one of the pieces like you do in a machine and replace it with the same kind of piece, because people have dreams and challenges and thoughts and behaviors, and they are complex adaptive systems, just like teams and just like our organizations. And this changes everything. I've written 3 books about it. You may have seen any of my books. I will not talk more about them here. The problems then with traditional leadership and HR is that we believe that we can control reality or predict reality and make a plan that is perfect from A to Z, but reality looks very different. So the problem here is that the world is not predictable anymore, and we need feedback all the time from reality to make the right choices along the way, which means that we cannot make a fixed plan from A to Z and start following that. We need to adapt, and we need to continuously change with what's happening in the world. And COVID is a perfect example of this. Another problem is that we focus still too much on shareholder value in organizations when we should be focusing instead on the value creation happening between employees and customers. Because if we focus on this value creation, which is very central when it comes to agility, this is the value that we are delivering to customers, then profit will come as a consequence. So value comes first and profit follows. So profit is like the air we breathe. We need air to live, but we don't live to breathe, as Frederic Laloux is putting it in his beautiful book, Reinventing Organizations. So a bad system will beat a good person every time. So we need to fix the organization system, because the system was built for a very different time. It was built on a time where you could actually treat the system as if it was a machine, and you wanted just to streamline all the processes and all the structures and the systems in that bigger system, so that it would work really well. But doing that, assuming that people are like robots, like they are like resources that you just can exchange for somebody similar, and that's not true. And the problem is, of course, that we want control, and it's not possible to get control in today's world. Everybody who tried to make a budget in the autumn of 2019, they understand that. And the definition here of control is the power to influence or direct people's behavior or the course of events. And in business terms, it means controlling people or controlling the future. And this is the grand illusion that many managers today have, that people can and must be managed, and that the future is predictable and manageable. So we have many problems with the budget. I will not go in on them more in detail here, but budgets are then also linked to performance ratings. And if you attend Christina's course, you will understand why in a deeper sense, this is a big problem for us when we are working with traditional performance ratings and bonuses and rewards. Another problem is engagement levels in our companies is very, very low today. And we need to do everything we can to raise engagement. Change. Managers are feeling a lack of psychological safety in Agile transformation program. They might wonder what's happening to me and my role, what will become of me when everybody seems to be able to manage themselves. And they don't need to be managed by a manager anymore. And, you know, the skills that took managers to the position that they're in today are not the skills that they will need in the future of work. For an agile organization, it's more about removing hinders and obstacles and impediments for people to be able to perform and be happy than controlling and checking compliance. So what should we then do instead? Well, we have an Agile HR overview here. And instead of focusing on execution, order, and control, Agile management or Agile HR focuses more on adaptability, on innovation, on speed, that we need to be creative all the time and continuously improve the way we work, because otherwise we will not be competitive. And it means that we need to learn all of the time. So HR can take the lead here and start that transition by moving first. And here I think that HR has a very big opportunity to show the way for everybody else, because they are deciding about a lot of the deep structures that permeate the whole organization. It's about organizational development, it's about leadership programs, it's about change management, it's about compensation and benefits, performance management, workforce planning, and so on. Very deep structures that hinders everybody to be agile. So HR need and can move first in this transformation that we are in this world right now. Instead of using job descriptions to close people into boxes marked with different labels, we need to focus on letting people be their best selves at work and use the whole person. And we talk a lot about T-shaped competence in agility. You have many different competences. Maybe you have one expert or several expert skills, but you also need a broad general base. And your continuous learning journey, it never ever ends. You're always on a growth journey. Employee experience journey mapping is one fantastic tool to better understand your employees. And this is one of the tools that you learn to use in Christina's training. So what is the difference then between an HR professional and the Agile people coach? We are going to look at some things here. Instead of having extensive HR process competence, the traditional HR processes I talk about right now, it's the ability to understand complex systems. And instead of having very deep skills in some specialist area in HR, we also need deeper general people skills, psychology, sociology, relationship management, and so on. And instead of having no formal power to lead transformation, we need more trust from the rest of the organization and more influence to transform. And instead of being stuck in certain roles, we also need the flexibility to wear different hats, depending on the need with your employees, with your people. Understanding that need deeper is very important here. Instead of working with one-size-fits-all training and one-size-fits-all solutions need to be tailored towards unique local needs. And instead of developing and delivering solutions to the business, you need to develop solutions together with the business. So inviting the people in the organization letting them give feedback on what you are doing and then taking the next step. And instead of mainly supporting managers, we want instead also to support all the people in the organization. And sometimes I see that the HR has a slightly parental view on people, but they need to drop that and treat employees as adults. And instead of focusing on individual performance, we need to enable performance in the organization system by removing limiting structures and enabling a fantastic culture where people can be their best selves, motivated, engaged employees who are doing the thing that they would like to do the most. So this is a continuous journey that you are embarking upon to improve the system. Instead of expecting answers, I think HR often need to work on listening and observing skills. And instead of checking compliance to the old traditional HR processes, I think we should be more working with enabling improvement, all the time improving, because when we do, the whole organization will definitely improve as well. And instead, lastly, of being back office workers, we need to walk the floor. Go to Gemba, we call it in lean language, is when you go out there and you listen to the people and you understand their needs. So I'm going to skip the Agile leadership part here. And we are moving to instead looking at the Agile people coach, because I see we don't have so much time. You will get this presentation after, so you can then revisit and have a look at the things that you miss here. The Agile people coach. This is a new role that more and more people discover, and we created this new role in Agile people because we believe that it will be crucial for HR and leaders to change their role fundamentally and support their organizations and the people to be able to increase agility and adaptability in all corners of the company. So this Agile people coach role is a role where you use many different competencies and you become more T-shaped depending on where you come from. If you come from HR, if you come from a leadership role, maybe you come from a role of being an Agile coach in your organization. So if we look at the Agile coach and we compare it with the Agile people coach, we have much greater focus on people, whereas an Agile coach may have more focus on the process, like Scrum, for example, or the Kanban process. And we have also less focus on the product and also less focus on technology, because many Agile coaches come from IT. And that is not necessarily the case for an Agile people coach. Then it's actually an advantage to come from HR or a leadership role instead. So we took the Agile coach role and we added some things to that Agile coach role that Lisa Adkins has made for Agile coaching. And we decided that the Agile people coach needs to take some additional roles. I'm going to describe some of them here. The first one is the leader or the explorer role. And of course, a leader can emerge from any department within an organization, and they have deep leadership skills that have likely been in development for many, many years. And they may come from a specialist role in a certain function or have proficiency in various leadership frameworks, or simply they possess a general broad leadership competence. And they have the ability to make very hard decisions when no one else is willing to put a stake in the ground or want to take responsibility. And they are able to explore different strategies and consider a wide variety of factors when deciding what to do moving forward. Maybe they look at the competitive landscape, they look at the market trends, they look at people's individual passions and competencies, and the advantages and disadvantages for the organization as a whole. Then we have the Master of Agile, and the Agile Master contribute with Agile and Lean tools. Agile and Lean are, you could say, cousins in a way, because many of the principles that we talk about in Agility and in Lean are actually the same. It's just that Lean are used more for flows and processes, and Agile is used more for projects or new innovations. So for the Agile Master, tools like Scrum or Kanban or OKRs are tools and frameworks that the Agile Master handles in a very good way. And they know how to work with Agility and Lean. The HR professional role has experience from either a role as an HR business partner, an HR manager, or an HR specialist. And they have a solid general understanding of what makes people do what they do. And so people skills, and they are capable of having hard conversations to inspire people to excel. They are also the only role in the organization who deal with negotiations with unions, and they have competence around labor law and societal regulations. The guide then has a deep knowledge about the specific place that you are in right now, or about the specific topic you are working with, and can use that knowledge to understand how to move forward. And the navigator role has deep skills in complexity and helps a team to step into the explorer mentality, to frame an issue, formulate a hypothesis, design a safe to fail experiment, and learn quickly what works and what doesn't work. So they have knowledge about wicked problems and Knevin and other kind of frameworks that we use to navigate a complex reality. And then maybe the most important role of all is the reflective observer role. And this is the space in the middle of things where, rather than jumping to conclusions quickly or reacting too quickly, you can figure out what is going on with the people and how you can best help them in whatever scenario they are in. So in this space, when you take this role, you can step out of the organization for some time and look at it, try to be non-judging. Somebody said that not judging is to be extremely intelligent. It's the highest form of intelligence, to don't judge. And it's really, really difficult when you think about it, to not do it. But this is a skill that you can cultivate. And other skills that you need to cultivate here in this role is self-awareness and self-regulation. In doing this, you can create for yourself the ability to then step out, think about what is happening right now, really, and then step in again and taking one of the other roles to help the organization move forward in whatever situation. So it's like a situational kind of leadership role. You choose what role you should take depending on the purpose of the organization, the people in your organization, and the situation that you find yourself in. And, this shift that we are moving through here is something we cannot do alone. We need each other to be able to remove limiting structures and change the culture and collaborating towards a more agile future. We need to join forces because HR cannot do it alone. Leaders cannot do it alone. We need everybody to start talking across boundaries, and boundary spanning is such a concept that you need to learn what it means. And we need to start the conversation and nudge the system to a better place, and the people as well, and move in that common direction together. So when we work with agility, we don't follow any recipes. We understand that there is no single one recipe that always works. Everything is always depending on the situation, the people, and the goals. So there are no best solutions that always work. And that's why we say there is no such thing as best practice anymore, because best practice today will only last about a week. And you will never be better than your competitors if you work with best practice. You will just be as good as they are. What is needed for the future of work is to be unique, is to be special, is to attract the talent that you need in your organization. So having said that, I would like to give you a few tips on your journey. Start by changing or removing the hinders or the limiting structures from finance and HR mainly that you have in your organization. Next step would be to increase instead supporting structures. This can be Kanban boards, it could be Scrum, it could be different tools that would support to move in a successful way through unpredictability and adapt to circumstances along this journey. And then you gradually start to get this agile mindset. You start to show new behaviors that come from learning those new ways of acting and working. And then you repeat from one, because those limiting structures have a tendency to creep back on you. It's called bureaucracy, and it happens in all companies that grow. We have a manifesto in Agile People that you find on agilepeoplemanifesto.org. I urge you to go there, have a look at it, read it, think about it. How can I increase these principles, and how can I increase these values that I read about in the Agile People Manifesto? And with that, I would just like to thank and invite you to join us on our Agile People community journey. You can also visit agilepeople.com for more information. And with that, I would like to open up for maybe some questions or something else. I'll let Christina decide where we go from here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Pia. Just to mention that you also have the agilepeople.ro community for Romanian speakers. It's much easier sometimes to have a shared language, not only as a mindset, but also what we are talking about. So questions, please.
Mm-hmm.
Who wants to ask something?
Maybe we had too little time to really deep dive in the different issues here, but I hope you are wondering something.
Yes, I'm sure they are. Probably I'm just repeating myself, but what I have found about when talking about this agile people culture role to HR experts, HR managers, people that are interested about agility, is that they say, yes, we understand it's important, we understand it's relevant, it makes sense to put it like this with all the stances there, but how do we sell it inside our organization? How do we make this agile advocacy to work for us? Because usually or at least in Romania, it doesn't come from HR, it comes from other places in the organization. How do we sell internally that concept? What do you think?
It's a good question, because I think that it's not easy to sell it. I think you need to feel, in a way, the pain, because if you don't have an issue, if you don't have a problem, then you don't feel a pain. You're not looking for new solutions. So when you work with change, the best thing you can have is to have some pain. You know, we may need to lay off people if we don't do something right now. We are not competitive anymore because there are so many other companies doing exactly what we are doing, showing up everywhere, and they are smaller, they are faster, they are taking market share from ourselves. That's also a pain. They understand we need to do something here. And then you start looking around, what are other companies doing? And then you see that almost all companies in the world is on some kind of journey towards a new way of organizing and leading the company. And it's almost always an agile journey. So it will become more or less necessary, but the problem is that people don't always see that because it happens very, very quickly, and they don't see the signs in the external world because they are looking too much inside the organization instead of lifting their eyes and looking maybe at what is happening outside, what is happening in the world. How can we stay competitive in an unpredictable world that is changing all of the time with COVID and wars and other things going on? How can we create psychological safety and this innovative culture, creative culture that we need to stay competitive, because it's about finding those new products and services that your customers want and need. And I mean, for the old products and services, there will be competitors. But so you need to all the time be on your toes and have a look at what will be the next successful product and service that we can work with to be and to stay competitive. And this is, of course, it starts with leaders and it starts with HR, because everybody else will follow what you are doing. You are the influencers in an organization. You are influencing everybody else, and you are deciding how they should be acting and what they should be thinking and behaving by providing structures to them, performance management linked to rewards and bonuses and other things. This is what you are doing. So then you can ask yourself, for everything you do, every traditional process that you put in place from HR, in order to, and the purpose is, of course, to help. The purpose is to help leaders and employees, but many times you are not helping them. You are actually hindering them from giving their best selves to the organization by providing limiting structures and processes. And this is something that more and more people see, and that more and more people adapt this new way of thinking. And I am certain that the future belongs to the people who understand that quickly and act accordingly. How can you sell it? You can point to very successful companies who are doing it already, mainly companies in the tech industry, but also companies without formal manager all together, like Morningstar, the tomato product producing company in California, or Bertschorg, which is working with home care in the Netherlands, or Gore Technologies, who are working with medical technical equipment from this plastic material. They need a very high level of innovation in their companies. And they saw that it's about the people, it's about our people's innovative abilities. And if we don't give our people freedom to invent and create and be innovative, we will not be successful. It's also about, being able to attract employees, because young people today are not that ready to jump on a leader career as they have been in the past. And they demand different things from their employer. They may demand today that they should be able to work where, when, and how they want, depending on their life situation. Because work today is not just for making money. Work today is also to realize yourself, develop yourself, and become the best you can be in your life. So talking about these things, when you talk about it, people say, yeah, that's right, young people have changed, and what then can you do about it? How can you change your offer to people so that you can ensure that you always have good talent on the way into your organization?
Okay, thank you. Very, very insightful discussion, Pia. Only one question, and if anybody else doesn't have a question, do we have some thoughts
I
from
would
the
like
public?
to ask
Please.
something very quickly, and thank you, Pia, for answering to my previous question. Because we are in a sort of privileged week, it's March, and next week is gonna be 8th of March, and everybody's celebrating this, let's say, special occasion now. But if you are a sort of thought for the leaders who are running a manufacturing or production organization, what sort of, let's say, aspects would you recommend them to take into consideration if they are to think about women in manufacturing and diversity and inclusion? Thank you.
Diversity and inclusion, yes. Because teams that consist of different people, especially a mix of men and women, and maybe different religions, maybe different cognitive motivation and so on. It's not just about, diversity is not just about how you look or where you come from or what religion you have. It's also about how do you think. And sometimes you can look very different, but you think exactly the same way. So really having many different perspectives makes it more we believe that you can succeed in a better way if you have different perspectives, because you create better solutions together. If you manage to not have too many conflicts in the team. I mean, if you can accept each other and respect each other with your differences, and see that, okay, we don't think the same, but that person has something else to bring to the table, and this is how we can then create better solutions together. And I know, Christina, that you also work with Reese Motivation, which is a tool that we are using in Agile People a lot, to understand people's basic needs and the differences in basic needs that you have, so that you can create a team that is diverse. So I think when you talk to managers, they understand the language of profitability, because that's how they have been thinking about organizations from the beginning. Not necessarily the organization's profitability. Sometimes they are very ego-centered and think about their own result, their own profitability, and what can I get out of this? But if you're lucky, they think about the organization's profitability, and then you can very easily argue that if we don't have diversity in the teams and different perspectives, we will not be as profitable we will not be able to produce and invent the new products and services that our customers want and need. And maybe especially in manufacturing, I would recommend that you work more with, moving out to the production line, talking to the people. We call it in Lean, go to Gemba. You go to the factory floor, and this is a Lean principle that they've been working with a lot in Toyota, for example, in Japan for many, many, many years. It's when the leaders go out and they understand the reality of the people working there, so that they understand how different parts fit together and how we can optimize this machinery in a good way by using the people who are closest to work, and by letting them make the decisions about how to work close to the production line, instead of, because they know a lot better than the leaders how to work there. So in manufacturing, I'd say that when you're of course, we work with research and development in manufacturing companies as well. So in research and development, it's all about this innovation, creativity, finding new ways of working and so on. And here you can work with Agile. Agility is very good. Agile ways of working, Scrum, and different methods and models in research and development. But in the manufacturing department, where you just, you're going to deliver something, you're going to do it better and better, and it's going to take a shorter time all all the time because we want as efficient processes as possible. Here you work with lean. And many of the principles are the same in lean and agile. They are cousins in a way. And you need to know when to work with what. If we look at the Canevin framework, which is a quite advanced concept, but in complexity, you work with agility. But in the complicated domain, we have some solutions that we know work. Here you can work with lean because it's about improving that process all the time. And you learn these things in the training. So it's a new way.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I think what we can take from this discussion is that there is no one size fits all. Inside, for example, a manufacturing company, you can have both the Agile and the Lean approach that are complementary, and also maybe the HR department can remove the limiting structures based on Agile for HR practices and principles. So you need to know what is fit for your situation now, and not work based on best practices that were okay in the past but would be obsolete in the present. And for that we have this community of practice, a place for safe to fail learning and experimenting and sharing and putting questions out that maybe you don't have the psychological safety enough in your organization to do it. But that's why we are creating this community, the Agile People global community, and of course the Romanian community that is here and is very grateful to Pia for supporting us and sharing her thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. Thank you so much. And let me know what I can do to help you and support you. Maybe we can do different things together. And as Christina says, this will be a safe place or safe space to discuss these things that you cannot maybe bring up in your organizations. So it's easier when you know that, you know, this person will not judge me, or this person will not decide about my reward, or, you know. And as consultants, we do that all the time. When you come home to your consultancy company, you can talk sometimes very rough or bad about your customer because, you know, everybody have different experiences where they are out in their companies. And sometimes you just need the support of your peers who would understand your challenges. So it's very good to have a community where you can speak freely.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you again, Pia. We are very attentive to time and we fit perfectly. I'm sorry for the misunderstanding, Pia. I'm
sorry too. Should have paid more attention, but I think it ended well in the end.
Yeah, definitely.
So
definitely.
We're agile, you know.
Yeah, we adapted. Yes. And take care, everybody. Watch our next events. And Pia, I don't know if you know, but we are launching an experiment, a mentoring women in Agile program that will start in March and will last for 3 months. And we are trying to see how we can work with this learning experiment for both mentors and mentees inside our community. So everybody stay tuned. If you want to join either parts, we will share how, and hopefully create more value for the community.
That's fantastic. I wish you good luck with that.
Okay. Thank you. Have a nice evening. Bye.
Thank you. Have a nice evening. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.